very honorable that our organization provided him a platform, as it has done with all other politicians, to give him space to communicate what he wanted to. So people have that information as well to base their decision on. So it was just a phenomenal experience. For that reason as well. I don't know that you could do that in any other country, right? So, and I got to bring home some Garrett's popcorn, the pecan caramel crisp, Rachel.
Oh,
Don't
you
ask
did?
me
I
for
didn't get any
any of it.
popcorn.
Listen, I pulled up on the sidewalk before I left out. They were like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm from the land. There's no parking space in front of this building. So I'm just trying to be, agile." Parked it on the sidewalk, got up in the building in line, and I got my 10.
I didn't get any popcorn to take home. They gave us a little bag when we checked in, and as soon as I got to the hotel room, I tore that bag out. It was a little bag, but I couldn't stop eating it. So, we did get a chance. Me and Sapphire did get a chance to hang together. We went to a lot of different sessions and things like that, but we went to Lou Malnati's pizza place, and we had our deep dish pizza. So I just had regular cheese, and Sapphire had something I've never seen on a pizza in my life, and that was anchovies.
Oh, you have to have the anchovy, preferably crispy anchovy. Okay. It's like without the anchovy, it's like the Dagwood without the Miracle Whip. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm very particular about that. Now that's when I'm gonna know you're like one of me, right? When you put that anchovy on, girl. Yes, made my day. And I really, really gotta tell everyone, it was so nice to have even more time with you, Rachel. You are phenomenal at what you do. You hold it down. When I shared with the various, ESPN analysts, including Jay, what is it, Adonde? I miss on his name. They were so impressed that you have, that I know of, the only all-female sports radio talk program. And that was what I used to compel them to commit to being on our show at some point in the future. But people from Minnesota to Alabama, when we went to the sports task force meeting, they knew who you were. You have such a great following all over this great country. And it just continues to be my privilege to be a part of your show. And I just wanted to share that with you and thank you. I love you, Rachel, and I appreciate you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Sapphire, you know how much I love you and how much
Yes.
I appreciate you.
Oh,
I really do. You are a blessing to me in my life, and was out. I'm hanging out with you. Was absolutely fun. I told you to enjoy this experience. First of all, I'm so glad that you came. And that was important within itself. What's that? I can't see.
This is a wonderful bottle of Don Antonio 2016. I'm going to celebrate while we do our show tonight. But I'm going to give that back to you. I thank you. Your love is much welcomed and needed. You have been so wonderful for my confidence. You make me feel comfortable sharing my unique, sports fan perspective. And if you really love me, you will agree to come to the Washington Commanders road game with us.
We're still working something out on that. We're still working on something out on that. We were just talking about that. We were talking about possibly trying to go, on Friday to the game against the Green Bay Packers. That game probably won't be sold out. So
let me know.
Because we're going to get to football, but the Cleveland Browns are playing this Friday night.
That's right.
Which is just crazy. So football is here already.
That's right.
So we're going to get to football. We're going to get to that. But, getting back to NABJ, is an opportunity for us to hang out, a little bit, and it's going to be here next year. So we had the opportunity to put on a party, in Cleveland. I put on a party in Chicago based on Cleveland, it being in Cleveland next year. So, we had a Cleveland party. DJ Ellery came in and spun some tunes so they can kind of see, how Cleveland gets down and parties a little bit. So he we came out there. Everything was Cleveland themed. We had a great video done by NABJ member Branson Wright, a welcome to Cleveland video. So, pretty much, also want to thank Destination Cleveland for laying out the red carpet for us. We had a booth there, telling everybody. So, we hope people can come out, even the general public, can come party with us and things like that, get to know, some journalists that they see on TV, because they'll all be in Cleveland. Cleveland is a city that's very easy to navigate. It's also very cost effective. Sometimes, for some people, the costs are a little prohibitive. Chicago is a city that, Chicago is a beautiful city. That was my first time going. So
Oh,
I'm super
really?
excited that I had a chance to go there and just be a part of that. I love big cities. So
Okay.
for me, being in a place like that, I'm just like, oh my God. 'Cause, to me, bigger is better. That's one of the reasons why I chose to go to Ohio State University, because at the time they had the number one amount of students in the country. So I'm like, I want to go to that school because that's the best, and Chicago was just a beautiful city. They welcomed us with open arms and we kind of just took it over. We took
Yeah.
over the city.
And on top of that, Lollapalooza, they changed the date
Yes.
of Lollapalooza up to our weekend. So it was like 1 million people. It had to be, I'm serious, I'm not even joking, 1 million people in and around the hotel, like each of those days that the conference took place.
Yeah, it was a huge music festival, and Megan Thee Stallion was there. I was not
Mhm.
not able to hear her performing.
Yes.
I could hear some performances, from my hotel room because we were literally across the street from this huge park, and it was amazing thing. There was a excuse me, an overflow hotel, because if you didn't get a chance to book, on a timely manner, you had to go to overflow hotel because you were competing against all the people who were in town for that. But that contract, was signed 5 years ago. So it was just amazing time. So, I just tell any aspiring journalist, especially here in Cleveland, Ohio, to join the local chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists. Rhonda Crowder is president. You can go to our website and join the local chapter. And then you can also join the national chapter so you can be privy to going to events like this and learning how to work on your craft, be a better journalist. You can, network with people who can help you reach your goals, as well as the Cleveland chapter can help you do that as well. So I definitely encourage anyone to do that. And I'm so glad that Sapphire took advantage of the opportunity and came and joined me in Chicago this weekend.
Awesome. You're awesome. I can't say that enough. I don't know. Do you think that people can feel the love through the airwaves?
I think they can. I think they can. For Cleveland, it's all love. And, one of the things that's important as a race is that we have to stick together and we have to uplift each other. There are other, nationalities and things like that where they make sure that, they are positioned best to win in society. And that's one of the reasons why, the National Association of Black Journalists exists. They saw a need that there were not enough Black faces and newsrooms across the country and every media and TV and radio and, internet and things like that. They saw that there wasn't enough faces and, there was no togetherness. So, they came together 49 years ago to be 50 next year and
Yep.
said, hey, as a people, we need to make sure that we're uplifting each other, not stabbing each other in the back, like a lot of people do with crabs in a barrel and things like that. But we need
Yep.
to uplift each other, come together, be there for another. And that's why the organization exists, and it's a very powerful organization. If you got the former president of the United States, to come out, Biden has spoken there before, Obama, they weren't able to get Kamala, but Kamala will have probably a fireside chat in September. Unfortunately, it's not very often you're able to get 4,200 journalists together, but she will have the opportunity to speak to the body one day.
Yeah, that was, and they were already a buzz about the upcoming DNC. I think that starts in a couple of weeks. I think it's
Yeah.
on the 19th.
Yeah.
They were already putting their flags up around town. You could already see the security detail kind of start to walk through their protocol. They have kind of a due diligence phase before the candidates actually arrive. You could see there was heavy visibility, if you will, as it relates to not just city police, but special forces, I could say, like SWAT, other
Yeah, we
under.
had to be checked by the Secret Service when we went into that room with him.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, Chicago's on fire right now. I'm glad that we had our time there, and I'm also glad that we got out of there before Vice President Harris showed up, because I can't imagine the level of security that she requires moving forward. The world is unstable. Some people in our country are unstable, and just hope that VP and presidential candidate Harris continues to thrive the way that she is,
I
and
definitely
safely.
think she will. I definitely think she will. So we're going to go ahead and take our first break, and then when we come back, we're going to go ahead and talk about some Cleveland Guardians, who are your number one team in all of Major League Baseball. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we're going to be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Her and Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I am back. I'm back with Miss Sapphire. Sapphire Blue. Sapphire, how are you?
I'm feeling it. I'm really feeling it, and really excited about our show today.
Yeah, you are?
Uh-huh.
Good. So excuse me. I know we're going to move on and talk some baseball, but okay. So I got to tell this. I got to let our audience know. Sometimes Rachel does Rachel like things. And remember how I told you that my flight left at 9:30 in the morning. So I was probably going to sleep like an hour or two and get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to catch the L to head to the airport and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm on the L looking, because I'm trying to figure out this baggage issue because it won't let me check in for my, flight. So it's saying like I got to pay for bags, and I paid for bags in advance, and I had the receipt. So I'm like, okay, let me just, check this out really quick and see what's going on. So I go, remember I'm on the L. So I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning pretty much, and took an Uber to the train station. I'm on the train heading back to O'Hare, which was like an hour from where we were staying at in the city of Chicago, Illinois. So I looked at my plane reservation and I saw that my flight left at 9:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 6 a.m., 7 a.m. and I'm headed to the airport for a flight that really leaves at 9:30 p.m. and not 9:30 a.m. Yeah. So when I discovered this error that I made, my mouth just dropped open. And I'm like, I cannot spend 14 hours in the airport. I've never seen that movie with Tom Hanks where he had to live in the airport, but that is what it made me think of. And I'm like, you know what? I was like, it could be worse. I could be in a airport in like, what's the state, like Wyoming or something like that. But I was at O'Hare of all airports. So, I get to the gate and I tell the lady, I'm like, I'm such an idiot. Please don't, please make a way for me to make it home earlier and I don't have to be here till 10 o'clock at night. And she was like, okay, we're going to try to get you on standby. So I go to the little ticket counter person. He's like, okay, you stand a good chance, but this flight leaves at 2 p.m. So I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, is there any way you can rebook me on another airline? And they were like, no, we can't do that because, we weren't at fault for this, but, you stand a good chance on getting on this plane. So I'm like, okay. So I fall asleep in the airport, take a phone call. I'm at like one of those like little charging desks, sleep, a little bit there, here and there while it's, flights taking off around me like all the day long. And I'm just sitting there. So our flight, finally, comes and, it's like a 222 flight or whatever like that. So they start boarding. So I've never flown standby before. So I go up and ask the guy, I'm like, I've never flown standby before. Do you call us at the end, once it's all said and done? He was like, well, you'll get, a seat next. He was like, you can check the board and you'll get a seat next, you'll get a seat number next to your name on the board. So I'm checking the board. I see I'm like 15 people down on standby when I was like originally third. So I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? So the whole plane lands. There's 4 of us trying to get on standby. There's a family of 4 that they keep calling.
Oh man.
And this family does not get in the plane. So all 4 of us. So there was a couple and it was like, well, are you willing to fly separate? And they're like, no. So I'm like, okay, great. I'll be able to hop them and get on. But all 4 of us were able to go. So I'm like, this is like a high stakes game show.
Yes, it
trying to
is.
figure out if you can fly standby or not while you're waiting to answer. You're seeing if somebody else has the answer. And if they don't or not, then you can go ahead and go. So I was able to fly standby. I was able to get back at 5 p.m. yesterday. But we had an NABJ member who had a medical emergency on her flight to Maryland. And they diverted her flight to Cleveland, Ohio. So I got a phone call. I was on the jetway about to load get on the plane leaving from Chicago, and it's such a short flight. It's like 30 minutes or something like that. So I get off and Facebook is kind of blowing up. A member had posted about this situation and, I called the member. I'm like, hey, I'm just landing, my ride is coming to get me, but I can go to the hospital, right now and check on this person because they were calling, anybody from the NABJ community. So I get off my flight. I tell my ride, which is my mother, hey, we got to go to the hospital right quick and check on this person. So we went to I never met this person in my life. I didn't know who she was. I knew nothing about her. I just got her name and went to the hospital. She was at Fair Lawn out there, because that's the closest airport to the hospital to the airport. So we go to Fair Lawn, go check on her. She's with her service dog and stuff like that. We go see what she needs in the intermediate. They weren't feeding her because she was in an emergency and stuff like that. So we go get her food and stuff like that. And I take her dog on a walk around the hospital right quick.
Oh, that was so nice.
So then, I get back because I had to take my mother back on this side of town because she had to be at work. So I was like, okay, I'll go get my car, and come back. So when I came back from walking the dog, there was another, member who was there and relieved me. So I go get something to eat right quick. And then I go back on the other, I go back, home and then get something to eat. And then we come back to the hospital. And just when we were getting back, they were releasing her. So NABJ made sure that she had the correct travel arrangements. So they put her up in a hotel, and Southwest, made sure that, she she was able to get back, this morning. So all is well and done and stuff like that. But, it was quite a harrowing experience. So, it was just, we come together as a community and help
That's
each
right.
other, and things like that. Because I've been in medical situations before where people have had to help me. So, I can only imagine, being in the air and being in a place that you've never been to without anybody, that you love and care about being there for you. So, needless to say that when I got home, because we got her situated at about 12:15 at night, I got back home, on our side of town at about 1 in the morning. And needless to say, once I closed my eyes after everything I've been through yesterday, so, there was a late day warming up. So I got, everything kind of late to you about what we were talking about, but you kind of know what we're talking about already. It's baseball season right now. You already know that the Cleveland Guardians are the number one team in baseball. You already know that they going to the World Series. You already know what's going on with that, right, Sapphire?
Yeah, except for the Yankees who are going to win everything. Listen, let me tell
Sapphire,
you something.
you're really not supposed to say stuff like that.
It makes me feel better because when I really
Why? But
should.
it hurts my
Oh,
heart
well, let
when
me
you
pull
say
that back.
things like
Let
that.
me pull that back because I don't want to hurt your heart,
And I
darling.
thought you loved me.
I
I
do.
thought
There
that
you
we
go.
had a genuine girl love going on. And it
Yes,
really hurts my heart when you say stuff like the Yankees are going to win.
they're going to win it all. Okay.
It hurts my
All right.
feelings, quite honestly.
I'm not going to say it just this one last time. The Yankees are going to win it all. Listen, I'm really excited because, tomorrow I'll be going to the game and be able to really put eyes on the situation. These stats are fantastic, but, this is where the men have to put their big boy panties on. I mean, this is the time of season where you really need to take it up a level, right? Be more consistent. And I don't know, let me see who's starting tomorrow because I'm keyed in on the pitching, right? That's what I'm really going to be looking at for tomorrow's game. Um, Trying to see, yeah. Oh, I got today's up. My bad. That's right. Tomorrow, 6:40 game. Are they going to say who the starting pitcher is, Rachel? No. Okay. But that's what I'm going to be looking at. I'm okay with everything else except the pitching. And I know they made the trade for that pitcher from San Francisco. But for me, this is the time of year where we need to really pan out that we've taken that next step. I'm looking at the skipper too, right? That's where my head is at. We're what, first week of August? Really, we're talking about another 4 weeks before we really have a clear picture of what that postseason is going to look like.
Well, if it starts today, obviously, they're division leaders. So I think, and they're actually, the number one team in baseball. So I believe that they have a break. So they're not playing in the first series. I believe if that's how baseball goes. I know that's the way, that it goes in basketball. I know that's the way that goes in football. I have to check just to make sure. But they probably would not have a first series, by being the number one team in baseball. What did you think of the moves that they made? Because I wasn't a big fan of bringing in Thomas Lane. I wasn't a big fan of bringing in Alex Cobb at all. I wanted them to have a little bit splashier move and go for Jack Flaherty, who's 7-5, 2.95 ERA, and pitching very well for Detroit. I felt like, you need to go to after an arm that have immediate impact because remember, Alex Cobb right now is doing rehab starts. So I'm not sure when his first official start is supposed to be, but he's coming off hip surgery. So why are you pitching somebody who's not even being able to pitch?
I mean, that's a great question because I had the same one. And is it that just it's about the arm? Like, I don't know. I don't know why they would do that other than these two, Cobb and Thomas, are veterans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So could it be that they went there because they feel like they need that kind of leadership or energy in the locker room? I mean, Thomas is a veteran outfielder, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's had some miles on him. That's the only thing that I could come up with as to why they would go there. And you make a great point about Alex Cobb.
Yeah. He did come out and have, Lane Thomas did come out, in that first game. He played at a guard as a guardian and pretty much, did have immediate impact and stuff like that, which was good to see. But, I wanted to see a move more like the Andrew Miller that we made, something, move that we made in 2016, something that was just a little bit splashier, going at, I wouldn't mind them going after Blake Snell, who,
Mhm.
held them down to one hit, something like that. But I don't think the San Diego Padres were going to, move off of him or anything like that because he's probably the future. But, you want to get, pitchers in there who are going to be dynamic and, who is going to be able to, hold you down in the postseason. Because can you imagine Carlos Carrasco going out there and pitching in the World Series? Like, seriously, Sapphire, can you imagine that?
No, I can't. But I do also see today they recalled left-hand pitcher Logan Allen from Columbus, right?
Yeah.
And yesterday it was right-hander Eli Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
So they
And he
clearly
in the
trying to.
game immediately too against the Orioles, and he pitched pretty well.
Yeah, so could it be that they're still trying to figure it out? I mean, like, I have no clue. This is the biggest reason why when I go there tomorrow, I'm just going to be locked in and really trying to get like a grassroots perspective, a feel or something. Because as we know, every year for us, I feel like many other teams, it comes down to pitching. Do we have the roster in place that we're comfortable riding out the rest of the season into the playoffs?
That's a great question. And there's no choice at this point because they didn't make any moves. So I guess that they believe that this is a team that can help them get to the World Series and win a World Series, but it's going to take some masterful managing as well too. Because they also sent down what was his name that they sent down? I just drew
Pitcher?
a brain freeze. No, it was a player. I was really surprised. It wasn't Tyler Freeman, or was it Tyler Freeman that they sent down? I can't, remember. I'm sorry because coupled with NABJ and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
been a few days that we kind of have been away from sports a little bit. But they sent him down to AAA. Good news with Tristan McKenzie, but I don't know if this is really going to help us. But Tristan McKenzie just recently had an outing down in AAA. He had 11 strikeouts, and his velocity got to 90.
Okay, but I'm living on what you said. You really think that they should have done the surgery with him?
Yeah, so I'm
Um,
like, that means nothing.
yeah,
So
let me
that's
go back.
good, but it means nothing.
Right on. So they sent Connor Gillespie to the minors
Okay.
today. They also sent Joey Cantillo and Xavier Curry back to the minors, and then Sam Hinches back to the minors for rehab. That was at
Okay.
the end of July, but those other ones were just in the first few days of August.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, and I don't know what they're going to do with Xavier Curry because some days he's on and some days he's not.
Mhm.
So this isn't really the time that when you're in the pennant race, this isn't the time where you can afford for pitchers to be on and off. And right now, currently, this bullpen is still one of the best bullpens in baseball. When they get that lead, they will shut you down. So it's very rare that they give up a lead, which leads to a loss. So, I don't know if Stephen Vogt is going to take on the same thing as bullpenning like, Tito did when he was a manager, but also too, you need starters to be able to eat up these innings, and that's not really what's going on because Joey Cantillo, I think he only pitched about 3-4 innings yesterday. So
Mhm.
that's the issue when you have your bullpen coming in that early. You don't want them, being burned out, and that's one of the things that happened in 2016 as well, is that they burnt out that bullpen too.
Mhm, mhm. Well, my rule of thumb would be whatever Tito did, do the opposite because we know. I'm just saying. We know he kept those men in those games way too long out of
Yeah.
some sense of loyalty. So please, let's clean that up. Like we're
Hmm.
trying to win.
Absolutely. All right, Sapphire, we're going to go ahead and take a break real quick. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. Thanks, man.
Rachel, is this a secure line to talk on?
All right, welcome back to Her and Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. And I am here with my sister, Sapphire Blue.
Chicka, chicka,
Sapphire,
chicka,
what's going on with you, sister?
chicka, 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 chicka. I didn't get it in when we started.
I know, sorry. I got to move
No,
forward.
but but no, we're still in the afterglow of the annual NABJ conference, and for me, it was as challenging to keep up, with the Olympics. I mean,
Yeah,
one of my
a lot going
favorite,
on.
right? A lot going on. One of my favorites is track and field, and first of all, shout out to that very. I don't know how to characterize his personality, but
Noah Lyles.
yes. How would you describe his personality, girl?
You either love him or you hate him.
I just love those pictures of his mother in the stands. She doesn't watch the start of the race, right?
Yeah,
And just
which is the
like,
most important start, which is the most important thing of the race is the start and being able to get out of those blocks immediately.
right? But yeah, no, watching her, it was like I was feeling her at the same time, right? And just congratulations to him for, I mean, that finish for that 100 dash was just like, I mean, I can't even measure the difference in times between the two men, but he just showed his entire arse. Congratulations to him in representing the United States of America.
Yeah, and it was almost like a photo finish, and people they love him or hate him. He has this connection with Pokemon cards and stuff like that. Where I don't know, does he keep them in his uniform after he
You know,
chose
this is how
the
this is how I
Pokemon
know I'm
card?
old. This is how I know I'm old. I was wondering the same thing, right? Because I don't want to be that pervy lady that says she's looking at stuff, right?
hmm
You missed that joke.
But you are being.
Yes. Not cringe though, not cringe, okay? But
Yeah.
yeah, that and also, our USA 5-on-5 women's team has advanced, to the quarterfinals. They played Nigeria. They opened up a can of whoop butt on Germany, Deutschland, and so they're through to the quarterfinals. They're going to play Nigeria on the 7th. The women's 3-on-3 team did win bronze. There was a lot of controversy in their game before that with Spain, but they still
What happened?
represented.
What happened for our
Some people
audience?
said it was a foul. Some people said it wasn't a foul that put the Spaniard on the line to shoot the shot that really put them over, for the victory.
Getting the
Um,
vote.
I thought there were more physical calls that they bless you. I thought there were more
Thank
physical calls that they made, and this was kind of up in the air. But the Spaniard beat her to the line. She did. She beat her. So I mean, there was contact. So that was what that was. But they still represented and won the bronze medal for the United States of America. So very happy about those things. And also, I'm going to give a huge shout out to Shikari Richardson. Right. She came in third in her race, but
And the
she still
200?
it was the 100, right? I can't
Oh,
remember
no, she
what
got
they did.
silver in the 100.
So isn't that third place?
No, that's second.
Oh, my bad. Thank you for the correction. Because we were in the sports task force meeting. I was trying to pay attention to the voting and the new members, but keeping my eye on brother man next to me that had his laptop open watching the race. Remember when I raised my hand, they were like, wait, is there someone that's saying that? I was like, oops, no, I'm sorry. I'm talking to my co-host. I mean, I was so embarrassed for myself, but yeah, she represented and she'll be back. She's young. She'll be back. But yeah, I mean, what can you say about Simone Biles? I mean, she's
Yeah.
doing her thing as well. I mean, what I could catch of the Olympics, I thought we were very well represented, men and women's actually, including swimming too.
Yeah, but I'm just a little perturbed that we're not taking home gold in the 3 on 3 tournaments. Like this is, basketball was invented in the US. I understand it's became a global game and that's something that the US has worked, that the NBA has worked very hard on, but now is, to the point where we losing.
I agree with you. And I think that, we've raised the standard so high for all of the reasons reasons that you just mentioned and more, that it's hard for us to look at a medal is still a victory. And I mean, we had what, Sierra Burdick, Derica Hamby, Ryan Howard, and Haley Van Lith representing us. And when we think about, with all due respect, those players, right? Those premier players, honestly, I thought Hamby looked a little tired. I think that's why she was just slow. She was just slow to the spot, and the Spaniard took advantage of her on the baseline and got that foul. So you got to think about the amount of time across the year that these professional athletes play, not only domestically, but they're traveling internationally. And guess what? Those international players play in the league. So if there's not this huge gap in terms of capabilities that there once was, these women all know each other. They know their games, their strengths, their weaknesses. So it really has created a lot of parity, I think, in the sport. But I say that because the biggest takeaway that I had was that it really gave us a taste, okay? A taste of what that new unrivaled league is going to look like when it launches, the 3-on-3, when it launches down in Miami in January. I thought that was really cool, and gave even more visibility to a newer type of, competitive basketball. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a couple questions for you though.
Mhm.
So in the 3-on-3 for the Olympic team, we don't have professionals on that team. Do you know why that is?
Oh no, we will. And
Okay.
they're still making those different teams. My point was, you think about professional, and it's almost like, this is my humble opinion. I'm not hating on anyone. Let's use baseball for example. All of these men are professional, but some are triple A, double A, single A, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then some are at the big show. And
Mm-hmm.
those different levels of athletic capability really make all of the difference, right? So I looked at, Burdick, Hamby, Howard. I mean, these women are, I don't know about Howard, but at least Hamby and Burdick, they're not like 20, 21-year-olds like Van Lith is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these athletes, especially basketball players, defy gravity from the time that they're probably old enough to hold a basketball moving forward. And they're playing year round. So when I think about the difference between the unrivaled league, right? And even these players here, which they may or may not be on those squads, maybe this was kind of like a trial, if you will, for them, because that league is not completely formed in terms of the player roster. But I think about that, the difference between your real premium level players, right? And their ability to perform at higher levels across an entire year. Maybe they got a month or two off, right? But to me, that's the difference. So, and for all of you that want to check it out, Unrivaled has their page up. You can see what that league is looking like in this moment, but they're definitely going to add more players. Again, this is not a paid advertisement, but just to share, they're launching 2025 down in Miami, Florida.
And I have a question for you about that too. Did it they say, or do you know how different this league is going to be from Ice Cube's league?
You know what? We had to be related at some point in like the past, because really for me, I wondered, is this where the original concept came from? Because how long has he been out there promoting his league?
It's
How
been a
long?
while because I remember when we was at Miami NABJ, he actually gave us tickets, so we got a chance to go to a 3-on-3 game at the United Center. So it's been at least since 2017 that league, it had been going for a couple years. So
Absolutely. And now we have a professional women's version of the 3-on-3, right? It's
mhm.
fascinating. That's not in this moment connected to the WNBA. Look, the average salary is reportedly anticipated to be $250,000.
Mm.
And that's about the same as the NBA's league-wide max salary, right?
Mhm.
So when I hear that, like, first of all, that's a lot of money, okay? But perhaps, just perhaps, this gives the athletes an opportunity to be in the driver's seat as it relates to deciding to go and travel, right?
Mhm.
Because we know, the reasons, the drivers why they do that. The drivers are related to why they do that. So it's nice to not, when I as a fan watch sports, I don't want to think about how underpaid an athlete is, because they're giving us every single thing they have, their blood, their sweat, and their tears. It is so refreshing to know that they're going to be paid for what, a couple months worth of
Mhm.
work, what their value is. And it may even become more, as we continue to support them, so um, that would be a great question to ask Ice, if we could get him on the show, what his thoughts are on that, because he was truly the first, right?
Mhm. Yeah, he did come to NABJ one year. So the 2017 was the first year of that league. And
Hmm.
it is still going on. So Sapphire, we're going to take another break and we're going to talk about some Cleveland Browns when we get back because they start on Friday. So we're going to be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. And John Suggs, Ohio State is not going to get crushed by the Oregon Ducks. So I see that comment. Thank you for watching our show. We definitely appreciate you, and we definitely appreciate you commenting. But I don't think so. I think the Oregon Ducks are going to have a rude awakening. Being in the Pac-12 was a bunch of cupcakes, so they're going to be out there in the Big Ten, baby, and they're going to see what some real hard hitting football is all about. So I'm not worried about the Oregon Ducks. Yeah, they got the best of us a couple years ago with CJ Stroud, but that was one of his first games, as Ohio State, quarterback. So, I ain't worried about it. They're going to be game planning for Oregon. Bo Nix is gone, so it's going to be a little bit of rebuilding for that program out there. I don't care if they have unlimited Nike money, but moving on to the Cleveland Browns, I did a version of the schedule game yesterday, not yesterday, but last Monday. But did you want to do your schedule rundown right now?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, let's leave it till next time, because we're up against the clock, and I really wanted to go in depth with you about my picks.
Okay. All right. So
But
what are you?
but but I did see, because I wanted to. I caught this on the wire. Defensive end Zadarius Smith carted off the field with a knee contusion. They said he was in visible pain and grabbing at his left knee.
Oh, that's not
Um,
good.
and then we got Big G coming back off of a hamstring injury. Like, Rachel, in terms of preseason, I mean, what are we doing? Like, can't they play flag football?
Hmm. Well, you can't put Deshaun Watson or Nick Chubb out there. So, I don't. I honestly, and I think we've talked about this before. I honestly do not want Deshaun Watson playing until the first snap against the Dallas Cowboys. So,
Absolutely.
I know that he's going to be a little rusty, for regular season, but I'd rather take that chance because right now I'm like, you got to wrap these guys in bubble wrap. I'm sorry. I'm sad that they're even practicing right now. I
I
don't
mean,
want
this
them
is
practicing.
real. Real. You know what? Because for me, you know how I feel about these hamstring injuries. Okay.
Hmm.
To me, they are indicative of, you know, what the commitment or lack thereof was in the off season. I just believe that, right? And we've got what JOK is he back? Because I think he had some kind of undisclosed injury. Like, why can we not just? It's important to get the reps in, but in terms of contact, I don't understand why we need to go there at this point when we know nothing less than the Super Bowl this year for me is acceptable. I'm going to tell you straight up.
Hmm. So you're not rooting for Philly to win the Super Bowl?
I mean, I would love to feel. Listen, I would love for there it to be a Browns Philly Super Bowl matchup. I truly would love that. Now, you won't find me anywhere that night, okay? But I would love there to be fly Eagles fly, y'all. But I'm just saying though, when you start the season with these knick-knack injuries, they just
Hmm.
seem to kind of follow you across the season. I just don't understand.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm looking up right now, seeing if we can see something about JOK. Not seeing anything about him though right now. So that's a good thing. Not really seeing saw the information about Zadarius Smith.
Mhm.
So that would be a huge
Yes,
issue if he went down, on the opposite side of Miles Garrett.
yes, yes. And I mean, for me, it's like to me, it's like read the writing on the wall, right? We
Hmm.
don't need him. Like, let's make sure that contusion, that naggy injury is addressed, is resolved. Don't rush him back. And the same thing with Miles. We already know what his dedication is to his craft in the
Hmm.
off season. Why do
Yeah,
we need to?
I don't want
Yeah,
him taking a snap either.
absolutely. Just man, I mean, because they're even though they're still young in football years, they're getting kind of to the end of the typical cycle, right?
Hmm.
So I was talking to someone at NABJ about Chubb, and they're like, "Yeah, he'll be ready to go, at the beginning of the season." And I think it was just the look on my face, and he was like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "Don't do that. Don't say that." Okay, you know what I told you? I'm not looking for him until like November.
Hmm.
I'm just not,
And the
right?
way I looked at you when you said that,
Right?
yeah.
So, we gotta be more strategic. I'll use that word in terms of the preseason, right? We need to be more strategic. Yes, it's important to get reps, but you think about the amount of force that's generated when these men come out of their stance or collide with each other. Like, we need to be strategic. I don't want to go through what we went through next year. It was like, uh, moving players on that offensive line around like checkers on a board. It was
Hmm.
too much.
Hmm. Yeah, but it's just like, okay, well, how do you prevent the injury bug from taking over this year? Because we already know that some players are going to go down. The thing is, how
Yeah.
long do they go down for? And how detrimental it is. Who would ever saw, this team going through five quarterbacks and still being able to win and still being able to make it to the playoffs? Who would ever foresaw that? But you got Kevin Stefanski, coach of the year, two-time coach of the year. You're going to watch him do a masterful coaching job as well this season. And I believe that, he's going to do everything he can to minimize injury to this team as well as making it be very successful. But I think, this is where you're going to see, him get that money on that contract. The details were undisclosed, so we don't know what he's making. Same for Andrew Berry, but you're going to see him, be worth that contract, whatever you're paying him and be able to watch him, really be able to coach his team and minimize injury yet, but get the maximum out of them and be able to win games.
You know what? Your lips to the good Lord's ears. Like I'm telling you, because I worry about Denzel Ward, concussions,
Well, you already know that, Denzel is very a special player and, he is injury prone, which is okay. He's going to take a couple days, a couple games off, at times, but he'll always be back.
Again, your lips to the good Lord's ear. So we're going to see. But yeah, we need to talk about checking out that game on Friday, do some scouting.
Yeah, Jason, that was actually Jason's idea.
Okay. Hi, Boo. Missed you. We missed you this weekend. I kept her out of trouble, though.
He said hi. Sapphire said she kept me out of trouble this weekend. So yeah, definitely a great weekend. But yeah, I think, if this team can minimize injury, I think that they definitely can make a deep run, with Deshaun Watson, because I'm expecting Deshaun Watson this season, this third year on the deal. I'm expecting him to be the Deshaun that they traded for out of Houston before he took the 2 years off. This is Deshaun I'm expecting, no more, no less.
Ditto. And before we go, John Suggs, if you're still listening, let me know if you're related to Dontel. Come on back next week.
John is gone, but he did, before he parted out, he did leave that comment about Ohio State and the Oregon Ducks, which, whatever. Pac-10 is not ready to come to the Big Ten, but, here we are.
Here we are. Right on, Rachel. Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you, sister.
You're welcome. So you think that we're going to be able to beat the Packers this weekend?
Yeah, because no starter should be playing in that game. We have enough, BC players to win in this home, and you don't want to see anyone get hurt in the preseason, right? So yeah, we need to win that. I mean, they're playing on our turf.
Yeah, it's all about making the team. And, too bad they're not playing the Packers in regular season, but it is what it is. But we want to thank you so much for listening to her and the Huddle today, for Sapphire, for Rachel, for WOVU. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much. And we are out of here.